Are you a very curious and adventurous person?
Yeah, I would say so. I like to bridge jump and live life a little bit dangerously.
Yeah, I'm curious and adventurous.
I'm always looking for something to do. I'm always outside. I'm always questioning things. I ask like a lot of questions and I like to know a lot.
I'm scared of roller coasters and I tried it. So I'm very adventurous. I like to try new things.
I like exploring, and I'm a really big fan of art, so like anything that has to do with art, I like to explore.
I like to do spontaneous stuff.
Do you have any times when your curiosity and sense of exploration has led you to something new and exciting?
I can't think of any time like that.
I definitely think so.
I went in the ocean for the first time and I was terrified, and the fact that my boyfriend was curious and drugged me in there, that was awesome and it was fun.
If something looks interesting with art, I'll sit there and I'll study it so that I can get a hang of it, and then one day I can do it myself.
One time, me and my friend were just hanging out on the beach, and we found money because we were hanging out and exploring.
I went cliff jumping because I was curious one time because I didn't know what it was, and my mom told me about it, and I ended up going like the next day, and I liked it.
Many of us have a really strong sense of adventure.
We want to learn by experiencing.
A sense of adventure can be the motivation to climb mountains, invent a new gadget, or become an Olympic snowboarder.
Being less afraid of the unknown opens up opportunities that can be quite awesome.
Plus, many of the stories we've grown up with center on adventurous heroes.
Comic book heroes, inventors, world travelers, and sport icons show a spirit that is strong, full of life, and often really appealing to our own sense of adventure.
Adventure, curiosity, exploring, and knowing when to stop. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Kira.
And I'm Justin.
And this is Real Faith TV.
Many of the teens on the street thought of themselves as curious and adventurous.
We'll talk with them more in a few minutes, as well as meet our studio guests.
But first, let's meet our spotlight guest, Chris, a longtime cast member of RFTV.
He'll share how his curiosity and adventuresome spirit plays a part in his everyday life.
Let's hear him now.
Being adventurous and curious, I think, is just part of growing up, just being human. I mean, I think everybody has those instincts. I think sometimes everybody wants to know what's going to happen if I do something, and that's why you'd participate in risky business, because there's always that curiosity when you don't know what something is and you want to try it out. I can be a very curious and adventurous person. When it comes to like electronics, especially when like a video game breaks or something, I need to know how to fix it and get to that step. Like say my Xbox breaks, need to know how to fix that because it's just something I use on a daily basis. I think occasionally I will take risks, but socially, kind of a scaredy cat. I'm a shy person. Sometimes just talking to a new person, taking that risk and meeting, making new friends, I won't necessarily go out of my way to do that. I guess I'm thinking, what will the other person think of me? What I make is trying new things, like maybe going out for a new sport or trying a new food or something. I have always wanted to go skydiving, but I am way too scared to ever even attempt it. I think there's a certain point where you hit a level of maturity where you see some things that you do or have done, and you look back and you say, why did that even happen? And there's always the conflict between what you want to do and what you think is adventurous and fun versus what you've been taught in your faith or legally what you're allowed to do. I think everybody wrestles between the two, and sometimes I pick what I'm supposed to do, and sometimes I pick what I'm maybe not supposed to do. I think that's how you learn, by making that mistake or making that choice between the two of them.
Well, let's see if any of our guests are adventurous.
Okay, they are Charlotte, Mary, Doug, Vince, Flo, Allie, and Lorelai.
So are you adventurous?
And what are some of the more adventuresome things you've done or are willing to do?
Well, I think, like Chris said, everyone is a bit adventurous at times. And yes, I would believe that I am adventurous. I haven't done a lot of like crazy like jumping off of like a cliff or anything, but I would be willing to try to like skydive, or like I really want to go skydiving.
I'm on the same page as you because I really want to go skydiving one day. It's an adventure I'd love to take. I'd be so afraid, but it would be worth trying to get over my fear just to take a chance to do that.
I think I'm adventurous, and like I'd be willing to just try anything new. It's a new experience, and it's a way to find out a lot more about yourself too.
So unlike you guys, I'm quite prudent. I try my best not to do things that I feel I need to be cautious around. But I've done things in the past that I think have been adventurous, but I don't do them every day.
I'm in the middle. I'll do adventurous things at the same time. I'm like you, Vince. I'm like, I don't know if I should do that because I don't know what the outcome's going to be. But I've done some pretty adventurous stuff, and skydiving would definitely be something I would do.
I used to be very unadventurous, and I used to be more afraid of what would happen if I took any risks. More recently, I've been coming out of that. I'm more willing to take risks and learn things about the world. I like to think of myself as an adventurous person now.
Sometimes satisfying our curiosity and seeking out an adventure can be as easy as opening a book.
But most of the time, we need that first-hand experience in order to feel a sense of thrill and accomplishment.
For some of us, adventure can be simply trying something new or overcoming a fear.
In fact, that's what our spotlight guest, Chris, did on a retreat with his youth group.
Next, he shares how he faced the fear of heights in a truly adventurous fashion.
Let's hear his story now.
There was a retreat for my youth group, and I'm terrified of heights. There's this thing, it was the zip line, and it's over water, and you have to go up 3 stories of steps to get to the zip line. It was terrifying being there. What I did that made it even worse, everyone else, I actually turned myself upside down while on the zip line. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, you should see what Chris did. And my parents walk by, they miss it, and they know I'm terrified of heights. They were like, Chris went upside down? And everyone's like, yeah. And I'm like, our Chris? And everyone's like, yeah. And they saw me, and I was actually crying because I scared myself so much from doing it. Just like, you know, when you go to a lake and there's always that rope and you're supposed to jump off the rocks and then let go. I've done that at my uncle's lake a few times. It's pretty fun, but again, there's always that beforehand feeling you get. You're kind of scared and you're anxious about what's gonna happen when you let go. And sometimes people don't let go. They keep swinging back and forth on that rope. And sometimes you let go too early and you miss the water almost. I've done that a few times. You gotta let go at the right time. When you let go at the right point, it's actually really fun. There's always the thrill, and you see other people doing it, and you always see people having fun, like doing the rope swinging and going on the zip line. And then for the zip line, they said it was a character building experience. And for me, I kind of wanted to face my fears of it, especially heights, because I wouldn't be able to walk up lighthouses or things like that. And it's true, because it is an exhilarating experience. Like after you let go and that split second while you're in the air. It's thrilling, but it's like watching like the horror films. Like you know you're gonna get scared, but people like getting scared sometimes.
So when have you felt the need to satisfy a curiosity?
There was this one girl in my Spanish class, and she was always like really quiet, but like she was really smart, so she always helped me with like my work and stuff. And she was in my lunch period, and like she would sit at lunch and like just read her books and stuff. So one day, like I invited her over to my table, and I talked to her, and she actually ended up being like a friend of mine, and like I still talk to her now. So like I guess the fact that I was curious, like how is she like a nice person? And I found out that she's like a good friend.
I always ask why. I never just ended at that. So like if my grandma or my mom were talking about something, I'd be like, why? Why not? So I guess my curiosity has gained the knowledge that I have now. Like if I want to find something out, I'll find out. And curiosity isn't always a bad thing. You know, they say curiosity killed the cat, but you know, at the same time, you learn from asking questions.
Sometimes though, I think being curious isn't always like good, because I would be really curious. My mom always leaves her email open, and sometimes I'm just like, wonder what she's doing on there. And I really shouldn't be doing something like that. So I've been trying to stop, and channel that curiosity to other things.
My curiosity, it's kind of a good thing for me, because I'll go and do something that might make me nervous, and it almost makes me stronger, because each time I go and do something new or try something new, it makes me less nervous about different things or less anxious, so I have the strength to do things that I wouldn't normally do, but they're still good for me to learn how to do.
Well, I remember when I was little, my uncle would always show me and my brother little magic tricks, like simple ones, anything that could like make us like go ooh and ah over. And it made me so curious as to how he would do those kind of things. As soon as I could, I would like figure out how he did it on my own. I think curiosity helps me figure out how things work.
Our curious nature plays a large part in our desire to be adventurous and step outside what is normal for us.
Curiosity can lead us to amazing discoveries about ourselves and our abilities.
It also enables us to dig deeper when learning about subjects that pique our interest.
As we mature, we often come across areas that are new to us and need to be explored.
And as explorers, we open new worlds that were once unknown.
We ourselves explore the world around us to find out how to relate to it and what makes life meaningful.
All of this is very good and is part of how God created us to be.
But like all things, it can go too far and put us and others in harm's way.
How do we know when to stop?
Has your curiosity ever gotten you in trouble?
That's what we asked the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
Probably a lot. I probably was curious about something that I shouldn't have been, and I wanted to try something new.
That's never happened. I've never really gotten into any trouble about that.
One time there was a painting I wasn't supposed to touch, and I touched it, and it smeared the whole painting, and I got in trouble because I had to help him redo it.
We were hanging around this old building, and we went inside and got arrested and put on parole for 6 weeks.
I went to an abandoned building that I wasn't supposed to be into, and I almost got arrested, but I was faster than the guards.
I like to not say.
Yesterday, we almost got fined $300 for bridge jumping, so that was pretty bad.
So has your adventuresome spirit ever led you into any trouble?
With me, when I was little, I tried to make cookies once. I always see my dad, when he makes cookies, he puts butter in it. So I was like, okay, butter, that sounds good. I put butter, maybe a few other things, but it was mostly butter. And then I put it in the toaster. I just left it for like 20 minutes, came back, Dad, the toaster oven's on fire. So I did learn from that.
When I was learning how to drive, my mom's rule was don't touch the new van. So of course, I begged my dad to give me the keys, and he's like, no, Mary, you're not allowed to use the new van. I'm like, Dad, it's just turning around the van. I can do it. You know, I practice, I got this. So Mary gets in the car, she's doing fine, and you know, I want to back up the car, so I'm gonna get it a little bit closer to the shed so I can back it up. But I didn't know that once you press the gas too fast, it kind of goes really fast into the shed. My parents' punishment was I couldn't get my license for 6 months. But I'm a good driver now, and I'm way more experienced, and I'm not gonna make that mistake again.
My friends and I decided to take these long drives, so what we'll do is we'll pick a street that we know leads out of town, and we'll just stay on that street. So one of these streets that was going through a few of the cities, we wound up in like a city after Bordentown, at the Crosswicks after this, and I'm thinking, where in the world am I? So every week I'd come back to this trip. I'd go by myself sometimes to take a friend, and finally I wound up behind Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey. So I'm thinking, oh, I know the back way to get to Six Flags now. But the thing is, the time I went the first time, I'd almost run out of gas. So I'm thinking, this is going to be great if I run out of gas in the middle of nowhere. Hey, Dad, can you come find me?
When we engage in risk-taking, we must be aware of the signs of taking it too far.
Obviously, if what we're doing is illegal, there's probably a good reason why we shouldn't engage in the activity.
Almost always, it's a clear line of where to stop.
Base jumping in some areas, for instance, has caused serious injury and death, so in those places, it is illegal to do.
But in other situations, what drives us to keep going, even when we know things may be risky, even when we suspect that what we're doing may be wrong?
Is the sheer adrenaline boost enough to propel us forward?
There is a natural high that comes with doing risky things. It's in our physical chemistry.
Do we always know when it's okay to pursue adventure, to explore new possibilities, and when to draw the line?
Next, we ask the teens on the street if there are any rules or guidelines they've used to stop from taking a dangerous risk.
Let's hear what they have to say.
I mean, I just stop if I think I'm doing something too crazy.
I don't know, because some things could get you killed if you're being too curious.
Again, back to the bridge jumping, like, you hear about people dying, and like one of my friends broke their leg once they were with us, so it's definitely crazy times.
If it's going to get you in trouble, then you should not do it.
Keep back a couple feet from anything you look at.
I just think about what can happen if I do it, and what could be the good things if I do it, and what could be the bad things.
Definitely like what my parents or what my other people would think.
I think about if I'm going to get in trouble. I think about what's going to happen.
Just knowing right from wrong.
I always like replay what my dad says in my head, you know what I mean? Don't ever get brought home by the cops. Don't come home pregnant. Just like I picture my dad in my head. It normally keeps me out of trouble.
I contemplate a lot, but then again, I go, yes, well, I start to do this, but then it's going to do that. And then I'll be like, you know what, I'm just not going to do it because it's going to affect me and everyone else.
How do you know when to stop? Do you get like a feeling in your gut, or do you come to like a logical conclusion?
Yeah, I think there's like a self-intuition, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get butterflies when I know I need to stop.
Yeah, I get a gut feeling. It tells me not to.
It's a feeling in my gut.
When I get like that feeling in my stomach that makes me want to vomit.
I kind of just think in my head what will happen if I do it, or if I stop, what would be better?
I definitely weigh the pros and cons.
I think you know when you're about to do something wrong and you just know not to do it.
I think just like that girl just said, you have a gut feeling almost, and maybe I should just take a step back, maybe think about something before I do it, or definitely what I think of is if I know my parents wouldn't want me to do it, then I'm not gonna do it at all.
I know I definitely weigh pros and cons. Sometimes even when I've thought about things like for maybe life choices, I've written them down so that I can actually look at them and analyze them, and I'll talk them over with my friends or family members.
The Catechism of the Catholic Church teaches that behavior that puts your own life or other people's lives in harm's way is a very serious sin.
This has to make us think, is what I want to do something that can be harmful to myself or others?
Is my own need for adventure going to hurt someone else?
There is a sort of thrill in living on the edge, but the danger and the risk often outweighs the excitement in the end.
Furthermore, it's important to understand that adventure doesn't require you to perform daring feats.
It can be any opportunity or experience that allows you to learn and grow.
It could be as simple as auditioning for a school play, which is what led Chris to discover something entirely new about himself.
Let's hear what he has to say.
I ran spring track, and I already gone through 2 seasons of cross country and winter track. And I was no superstar runner, I wasn't a track star, and I didn't like it. So one day the play auditions came up and just decided to go out on the edge and miss a day of track and audition for the play. Next couple of days I'm still running track. I look at the callback list and there's my name. And I was kind of confused at first, but then it actually turned out I was a decent actor. I now participate in the plays instead of maybe sports, and it's really shaped a lot of who I am today. When you're in the jock world, you're not supposed to cross over, but then I did, and I found out there's a lot more there than on the surface. At first I didn't have a direct interest in acting. It turned out to be, I get to miss a day of spring track. Awesome. But then it turned out that I actually really liked it, and I was actually good at it. So I actually dropped spring track altogether and started acting. So I started taking acting classes in school. Not knowing what to expect, it developed into this giant thing where I started becoming part of the theater productions at school. And it really surprised me how much acting has helped me as a person. I'm more outgoing now. Not knowing what was coming out of it, it could have been really good or really bad. And I'm very happy it turned out to be really good. A lot of things that you randomly decide to do turn out to be things that you end up really liking, I find. Because my stepdad always wants me to go fishing. I don't really want anything to do with fishing. But then finally I decided to go. And it was really peaceful, and I found it really soothing, and it's quiet, you don't have to talk. I mean, sometimes you can just go out there and think. Just put your rod in the water.
When has an adventure led you to discover something new about yourself?
When I was little, I was 8 years old, and I wasn't really athletic. I was just staying home, relaxing. And my mom really wanted me to try out for soccer. And I wasn't so sure about it, I didn't want to. I thought it was a boy sport. And I tried my first year and I stunk. But then after a little while, I got better, and I still play it now. I'm 15. So I really learned that I can push myself to become good at something.
One time my dad, he was actually going golfing, and I was like, oh, let me go, it might be fun, just because, sit there and watch you. And I actually tried it, and I was really good at it. So I can now play in high school for a scholarship into college, so.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Most of us don't like just sitting in a plain room doing nothing.
We are made to wonder. Our curiosity is what makes us wonder about God and explore our faith, too.
Let's go back to the teens on the street, where they'll discuss their faith and if it helps them seek out adventure.
Do you rely on faith in any way to help you with these decisions?
I have a tattoo that says, what would Jesus do? Here and there I have to look at it.
I don't really use my faith for any decision making.
Sometimes, yeah.
Only when I'm like in a bad situation, that's when I start praying.
My faith has always helped me into knowing when to stop when I'm in danger. If something seems dangerous to me, I don't put myself in that situation because I know God wouldn't want me to do that.
If I know I'm doing something wrong, I know that like God's looking down on me and I should follow his rules.
Faith helps with long-term decisions, but when you're in the moment, it kind of comes from within.
I think the good thing about faith is it helps build better morals. And once you have a good thing of morals, a good set of morals in you from your faith, then that'll help you do make better gut decisions of what's right and wrong.
Everybody has a conscience, so you know what you're doing is wrong or right. Like if you feel like there's something that you're not supposed to be doing, your conscience is obviously going to tell you not to do it, and God's going to speak to you through that way.
So do you think life as a Christian contains adventure?
I think for me it contains adventure because just making a relationship with God, like our own personal relationship, is an adventure in itself.
I definitely think that, a Christian life contains adventure. With my youth group, actually, I went on a trip to Appalachia, and that was something completely new and adventurous. And it was part of my Christian life because I was going to help others, and I got an adventurous experience from that.
I also went on a mission trip sort of thing. I went to the Bahamas, this island called Eleuthera, and we did vacation Bible school for all the native children. And it was just so cool because it was definitely a big adventure.
Actually, in a week, I'm going on an Appalachia trip, and I'm gonna go help, and we're gonna build houses with my youth group, and I'm really excited.
I think also learning more about our faith. And when we're little, we're so ready to go to CCD. Maybe sometimes we don't want to go, but we think about it. You're studying, and then you do your first communion, and you come and you get close to the Eucharist for the first time, and you're all excited because you're going to do your first communion, and then you continue going to religious education classes, and then you do your confirmation. But it doesn't stop there. You go out and do mission trips, you join a youth group, become more active in your church. So yeah, of course it's an adventure because every day we're growing with and in God.
That delving into our faith that we all choose to do, especially by being on Real Faith even, that is our adventure. Finding more about ourselves and finding more out about God is an adventure. It's one of the greatest adventures that we have in this life.
In the way when you go out and you look for the face of God in other people, that is a real adventure that we can go on any time you want, really, which is, I think, awesome.
Our faith is definitely an adventure.
It is a great gift that God created us to be curious and want to explore, because that is how we learn.
But with great gifts come great responsibilities.
If you feel that little tug in your gut telling you that something doesn't seem right, then stop.
Better to stop ahead of time and still feel a little curious than to act when it's too late.
In baptism, we are given the gifts of the Holy Spirit, which include right judgment.
This means we always have the ability to ask the Holy Spirit to guide us and help us make good decisions.
Looking to the Gospels is also a great way to explore the life of Jesus, who took enormous risks in challenging the status quo of his time.
Finally, Chris shares with us how Jesus' example is an inspiration to be adventurous in our lives and in our faith.
I think Christ was adventurous because even though people were getting persecuted, he went out and preached. And even though people were he's just saying he's the Messiah, he still went out and said what he had to say and what he believed was right. He told everybody to leave all of their things and just to come with him. And I think the apostles, they were adventurous as well, because I think if you said that today, nobody would follow you because leave all my stuff behind and follow you. Even me, I wouldn't be so willing to follow and maybe go on that adventure and walk around and preach. When it comes to making decisions, you gotta think twice. You think, what are my parents gonna think? And then you think again, what's God gonna think? That's helped me out of some situations. I have asked for God's help to make the right decision. I'll ask through prayer, and sometimes it gives me a sense of settlement within myself that I know I always have someone to ask, because sometimes I don't feel comfortable maybe going to my parents. You can have adventure as a Christian. Well, you can explore your faith. I think even going to church can heighten your curiosity. Maybe if you hear a passage you're curious about, or maybe why some of the things at church are done, and maybe you can get a better insight in that.
When we go on our adventures, we start with a prayer. And when we leave, maybe if it's just down the road that you're going to go see a friend. But as long as we know that God is always with us, we'll be okay.
When you lead an adventurous life, having God on your side can definitely help you because you'll feel confident in yourself and in Him that He will help and protect you throughout all of your endeavors.
In the 21st century, opportunities to fulfill our need for thrill and adventure abound.
While it may not be as daunting as skydiving or as physically demanding as climbing K2,
our journey in faith is the ultimate adventure and one that we share with God every step of the way.
Jesus even encouraged us to live out our lives as adventure seekers.
In the Gospel of John, chapter 10, Jesus tells us,
I came so that they might have life and have it more abundantly.
So how can you grow more adventurous in your faith?
We'd love to hear from you.
Contact us at RealfaithTV.com.
Or follow us on Twitter.
And we'll leave you with this final prayer.
Holy Spirit, please give us the experiences in our lives to learn about who we are and the world around us in a way that is exciting and new.
Guide us in our choices so that we may have wisdom to know when to pursue adventures and when to stop.
Let us gain a great appreciation for all wonders God gives through Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Amen.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV.
God bless.